welcome to Asaase Business PM with me, Prince Moses. Tonight on Tech Monday, we will be talking about smartphone penetration and its implications for technology delivery and digital innovation. Business PM is proudly brought to you by Ghana Exim Bank facilitating Ghana's international trade. So earlier generations of computers weighed tons, literally. As time went on, they grew smaller and smaller, and in the early 80s we saw the first laptops which were seemingly to be replaced by tablets some 2 decades later. But the reign of tablets was short-lived. Or so, because it's still around. Some companies like Samsung have the fold-up mobile phone, which when unfolded gives you a tablet. But this means that tablets which were to replace the laptop are now succumbing to the power of the mobile phone, because we do not see it going the other way round, do we? In 2019, the global smartphone penetration rate was projected to pass 40% for the first time. With 3.2 billion smartphone users worldwide and a global population of around 7.8 billion, the global smartphone penetration rate reached 41% in 2020. Technology has long been a driver of all kinds of developments throughout the world, but it is only recently that mobile phone technology and smartphones in particular have had a significant role. Smartphones are a 21st century phenomenon that gives us the power of a computer and more on a handy device. But how has this penetration impacted technology delivery and digital innovation? Now, to help us discuss this, we have Josiah Ayison, CEO of iSpace Foundation, Oswald Anunadaga, CEO of Floodgates Limited, and Felix Darko, tech expert and manager at Mest Africa. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you just tuned in tonight on Tech and Innovation Monday, we're discussing the implications of smartphone penetration with our usual panelists, Oswald, Felix and Josiah. Now to the first question, and we're going to come to you, straight to you, who is smiling at me, that is Felix. Now, let's start with this. As the third quarter of 2019, during the third quarter of 2019, Global System for Mobile Communications Association, GSMA, reported that there were 15.1 million smartphones in Ghana. That's like half of our population. Now, what does this mean in terms of mobile phone development and its implication to the whole tech sector?
I think it's quite an impactful situation that we're in right now, where we see. I mean, of course, 15 million devices doesn't mean that that's 15 million individuals. So you probably still have to discount that a bit, but at least a quarter of all Ghanaians are using a smartphone today, and I would say that allows a lot of solutions that are delivered through tech, through software, to be able to reach these people. So now they can browse the internet on the go. They're able to download apps and interact with a lot of new systems that they were not able to do so before. But I think another important thing to note is that mobile phone penetration is even higher. And so there's a lot of people who don't have smartphones but have, what you'd call the YAM phone, the feature phone. And they're also able to access a lot of services through USSD, even through certain call hotlines. So I think it presents an opportunity for us to build solutions that can reach a lot more Ghanaians simply by creating an application or creating a business built around the technology.
Okay, so this penetration of 15.1 million, and you're saying that there is a bigger penetration because we do not have the YAM phones accounted for in this report.
Exactly.
And so we're seeing some people using the YAM phones, but do we have systems that actually communicate to both systems at the same time?
Yeah.
And Oswald.
Yeah. So I mean, solutions are being built. And everyone who's building solutions is thinking of USSD and thinking of smartphones as well. So feature phones also have their own market. I would need to see some statistics, but in most places that I've worked and certain products that we've worked with, a lot of people end up using the USSD services. One of the reasons is data concerns, internet data concerns. There are certain locations, parts of Ghana, where the internet is not very good. And so people fall on USSD services. Even me, who uses a smartphone, when I want to use mobile money, sometimes I just end up using the USSD instead of the app because sometimes the internet is not working properly.
And it's more efficient when the internet is not working properly?
It's really fast. It's very fast because it's just very tiny bits of data that's being transferred over the network.
All right.
There are security issues with it, but it's actually very effective.
Josiah, you use like 1 million phones, walking around with like all those thousands of phones hanging around you. And I mean, do you agree to this point?
Yeah, I do. And I think typical example would be Farmerline. They're using both smartphones and YAM phones on their platforms to help farmers in rural areas. I think they use this NFC technology as well, and so kind of mixed bag of everything. So yeah, I mean, it works.
So I mean, so we're staying around this whole tech delivery and innovation within this mobile phone sector, where the penetration rate has a real impact or not on some of these services. And so we're talking about e-commerce, we're talking about agriculture, we're talking about health. And have we seen any impactful technologies emerging from these made for mobile phone apps?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like Josiah mentioned, Farmerline is a great example of that, where a farmer who's sitting, somewhere in the northern region can just, can just whip out his phone and get, up-to-date information about what the weather is going to be, or maybe even with a business like Trotro Tractor is able to order or rent a rent a tractor right from his phone by dialing a short code. So we're already seeing huge impact from this, and people are able to build really, really big businesses and impactful businesses using these technologies.
So you're talking about early warning systems where people are able to check the weather and, floodgates. That's your company. Flood warnings and, stuff like that. Yeah. But do people really use these, or is it just the young people who've gone into farming who are doing this?
No, people are using them. And I think it's a testament to what, again, Farmerline, we're not plugging them, but what they've been able to achieve, right? Because they've been able to bring a lot of farmers that were off the grid onto the grid, and now being able to give them information. So it tells you that, like you pointed out, the use of smartphones and YAM phones now is just not something that is weird to think about anymore. Yeah. And usually most people that you see will either be carrying a YAM phone and a smartphone, like you rightly pointed, because you could be in certain areas that it might not work. So then the YAM phone works, and then you just use that platform easy.
So you have been doing something fantastic. Josiah, you've been going around the country. Well, you did that before COVID. I think even during COVID, you did go around quite a bit, sensitizing people about the use of certain technologies. Have you seen the involvement of our rural folk, or is it just people who have come out of university who are dotted across the country who are meeting?
It was the rural folk. So we're doing this IoT thing with farmers at the moment. So when you was talking about the weather and all of those other things, they're just trying to give them information. And it was a great thing to see because for them, they seemed so far away from technology until you introduce the platform to them, and then they saw how impactful it can be. And along the value chain, they're no longer away from it. See, so again, if I wanted to order mushrooms, it's easier for me to do that now. Unlike before, where I have to know somebody that's going to that particular area to get it and send it to me. So technology has made that possible. So I think what we're talking about now, when you look at service delivery, the innovation around that is very, what it has improved. And when you look at customer service, because now we have Uber Eats in this country, which before, you had to go out and get the food, but now we can do that. See, so you can see where these innovations are going because of smartphones and all these other feature phones.
You just reminded me. I tried to order food, and one of the apps told me I lived too far away. I was really hurt because that day I was hungry.
Sorry, Oswald.
Yeah.
Well,
they know. I don't want to mention their name. They
Don't,
should go and extend their service coverage. But it's a really good benefit. Now you can sit in your house and order food, choose what you want to eat, and then you have it delivered to you in like 20-30 minutes sometimes.
This brings to mind a conversation I had with one of you some time back about, these apps having sort of reduced the traffic, the type, the heavy traffic we have on our roads, and people are now using these motorbike deliveries for things they would have otherwise had to drive and to get. So now let's move to e-learning. You, Oswald, you have been really involved in e-learning, and so mobile phone penetration actually speaks to this sector for you.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just move away from traditional education a bit. The fact that you can go on YouTube and Google how to do anything and then learn how to do it and then do it in 15-20 minutes is a really great learning tool. It demonstrates how much learning you can do on the internet. I remember my mom used to say, "You're always on your phone. You're always pressing your phone. What are you doing on your phone?" And a few years ago, I went back home and she was always on her phone. And I was like, "What are you doing on your phone? You're always on your phone." And she was like, "You know what, Oswald, when I open this thing and I go on Google, if I type anything, I can learn about it." And it's just really a testament to how much we can learn these days because of smartphones, the internet, YouTube, and all of that. And now we are even finding ways to deliver traditional educational content like mathematics, English, and other things over using mobile apps for students. And so I feel like it's a really great tool, especially with Zoom. During COVID-19, most of the schools moved to Zoom, and you see people using tablets and mobile phones and to consume this content. You don't even need a whole computer to benefit from it.
All right. And you, Felix, let's talk about e-health. Have we seen any developments in that area, with respect to the mobile phone penetration phenomenon we're talking about?
Right. So, there's already been, I think, some things that have been quite impactful, but not really spoken about, that have been happening for quite a while now, which is, you can see with, I don't remember if it was MTN or one of the telcos essentially had this scheme where they would send regular health-related text messages to certain people who subscribe for it.
I think it's Vodafone.
It's Vodafone, right? Yeah, and so this is something that's already been happening for up to 10 years now at this point. And now there's more specialized ones. So for instance, there's ones that are for mothers, right? So first-time mothers, they send them information on how to, go through a healthy pregnancy, all the right things that you're supposed to be doing. And so I think that's already a very small but very impactful first step, is just disseminating information. But now you can see certain platforms like Muti by M Pharma, where they're able to do medicine deliveries. So very similar to how you do Jumia Food or something like that, but on a prescription basis for their subscribers. And so, again, the presence of smartphones, the presence of just mobile penetration is allowing people to get a lot more access to first information. But secondly, now is even opening the doors for you to be able to get access to medication that you might not be able to.
And I do, talking about medication and health, I do remember Pedigree.
And Pedigree as well, yes.
Yeah. And there is another example that I remember, something I remember having, read about. It must have been about, I think, around 2011, 2012, about a certain operation that took place in Uganda with a doctor who didn't specialize in that kind of operation, having been directed by people from Europe. And it was a successful operation. And now there is an even better one, which Oswald was talking about.
Yeah, it was remote, and they use robotics, so that the surgeon controlled the devices remotely and managed to do the surgery, and it was successful. So it speaks about where these things are going on, the future of all these things. If somebody collapses here right now, and I don't know anything about health and all, I can just go on Google and just type what to do when someone collapses, and we probably find a way to help the person.
So much information, isn't it?
So much information out there.
Sometimes too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes too much.
Yeah.
Right. So now we have spoken about the current trends showing that mobile phone or smartphone penetration is going to increase further. Now, what impact will this have on digital innovations in the tech industry?
well,
huge, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you look at all the apps that people are going to be able to create, the jobs that you're going to create out of that, that is an understated statement, really. I mean, because right now you're talking about raising funds, right?
Yeah.
And that is for pretty much to create a platform that allows that. So digital technology is just going to take over. And I think the fact that we're able to leapfrog technology, Africa being in that mobile space, is just going to be, it's a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer. Look, I do remember some years back where that's Felix looking at me like that again, you old man. Okay. So I do remember some years back when, you know, you had to go and call the neighbor to tell them they had a phone call.
Right.
And sometimes
I
you
remember
had,
that.
yes, you had people lining up in front of your
You're
house,
old too.
or you lining up in front of people's houses to take a call. And we don't have those things anymore. Now we have 2-3 phones because you have a number for this kind of thing and a number for that kind of thing. And it's...
Prince, you know, something similar to what you're saying. I posted online and I said that ATMs are going to go out the way phone booths did. And a lot of people didn't understand it. And I feel like this is a good opportunity to actually show how that is going to work. Because the reason why people went to phone booths is because people couldn't get things in their hands to do, let's say, to make calls. And then everybody got a mobile phone. So people don't need to go to phone booths anymore. These days, people will not need to go to ATMs anymore because now people are increasingly transacting more via smartphone apps. They're using their bank apps. They are using apps like Express Pay. I mean, all the kinds of pay apps that are available to do transactions, local and international. So a lot of things are being disrupted by the apps.
It is true.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've heard about you know, a cashless society, and so people. But then some of us love to touch paper, a bit like what we had with e-books. I do have an e-book, but I still love to buy books because I really love the feel of paper as I read.
It depends on whether I will collect it. You might want to hold it and enjoy using it, but I may not want to collect it because that means I need to take a trip to the bank to go and deposit it.
Well, as long as cash is legal tender in this country, there will be ATMs. Cash has to be issued somewhere. Right?
Their usage is going to drop so low that the cost of their maintenance and usage and cost is going to not be, it's not going to incentivize the banks to keep them running.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine
another 20 years.
No. I'm giving like 4 or 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Because when you talked about the phone booth, do we have phone booth in Ghana? Did we really have it?
Yeah, we did.
When?
Vodafone had
a few of them.
Like 5 or 6.
A few of them.
Five
And
or
here
six.
you're
There were a
talking
lot
about
of
the
them
posh
that, like,
areas
there
in
are a lot of
Accra.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's easy to get rid of. But when you look, if you really think about London, it took a long time for the phone booth to kind of disappear, right? And it was a forced agenda. See, so the way you made that statement, it made it seem like there was all phone booths all around Accra and all of a sudden people not using
but
them.
the thing is, you need to not look at the actual physical devices or how many there are.
Yeah.
You're supposed to look at the nature and the trend. They are very similar. Something that people need to
But you
go
know,
to
the whole
to
of
go and
Accra is
use.
not Ghana.
And then the fact that now that service can be provided in a device that they hold in their hands.
Nah.
Very similar trend, and you're going to see it play it out the whole way.
But
So you can put me down for the next 5 years.
5 years.
I'm going to say
Let's
that
bet- let's bet on it.
the number of
Oswald.
10,000.
No, there's no betting over here.
The number of
You've got quite a reputation to defend, Oswald. We're not betting here.
So what you need to bear in mind is that 80% to 90% of the Ghanaian economy is informal.
Exactly.
They deal only in cash. They cannot even collect digital payments unless it's mobile money, right? And even that leaves them with a digital trail. And so again, cash is not going to disappear from our society that soon. Again, I'm giving it 20 years before we say cash is dead.
You're going too far.
Again, you forget the country that we're in. It's nice to sit in Accra and
I've
say,
not
hey,
forgotten
I'm just
it.
going to be on my
You know,
phone.
I've been in data payments for like 7 years now, and you just see the trend. ATMs, the number of ATMs in use are going to reduce by probably like by half in the next 5 years. By 5 years time.
Okay, now we're going to the question of the day.
Yeah.
Well, now, with mobile phone penetration having overtaken that of both the laptop and the desktop computers by several folds, are we going to see the development of mobile phones in areas where laptop and desktop computers will never go?
I mean, there's definitely... you can't say that there's a place where laptops will never go. I don't know if you can make an
We cannot carry them in our pockets, can we?
Right.
Okay, I get you in that point, and I do think that mobile is the future for sure. Again, we were having discussion last week. about the future of mobile, last 2 weeks about the future of mobile phones and if it's going to be implanted in your brain or if it's going to be holograms. But I do think that we are in a point in time where mobile is going to be the primary sort of portal to the internet, primary way of people getting online.
Okay, so should I buy a mobile phone for my daughter or should I get a laptop for her?
It depends on what it is that they want to do, right? Because if I'm a video editor, like a serious video editor, using a mobile phone is not going to cut it. But using a laptop would cut it. And I think the reason why the mobile seems so, winning at the moment is because it's using elements of what a laptop does into the mobile phone.
So for professional use, we would rather have a laptop.
Yeah.
But then for our personal use,
there are very few use cases to actually own a laptop these days. I used an iPad Pro for a few months, and even me who does a lot of intensive work, the only thing I wasn't able to do effectively on it was coding, and that's building software. I was able to do almost everything else on it. If you ask me what to buy, I would say buy a tablet. It covers most use cases. There are tablets these days that even come with keyboards, and you can add a mouse, and then you can do a lot of the things you need to do, especially if it's for a young person. They don't need that much firepower in a device. And then, so it really depends. It's very small. Now, unless you are producing something, you probably don't need a laptop. Even for most university students, a tablet will do fine. You're just editing documents, doing stuff, probably watch a few movies here and there. Yeah.
But you don't get a tablet if you don't have a phone yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
A tablet can be your primary device. You're not going to walk around
with the tablet.
I mean, back in the day when they had those Galaxy tabs where somebody would hold a huge-ass tablet to their head to make a phone call. I think a tablet is still like a secondary device.
Mm-hmm. You can have a tablet and use a YAM. If you're buying, use a YAM. And you know the thing about the tablets, when you're home, you could just have like AirPods, like Bluetooth earpiece, and you don't really need to have a phone. If you're making calls, you just tap and answer.
But you see, the way you say is if you can afford it.
Yeah, right?
Of course. Whereas a laptop, you just plug in your normal headset and you're good to go. Because you're talking about, iPad Pro and, AirPods. You know how much that is?
No, there are Bluetooth earpiece you can buy for 35 CDs. And then there are tablets that you can buy for 200 or 300 CDs.
And that's supposed to be affordable?
Yeah.
We just talked about the YAM phone and people in the rural areas, trying to access information. You mean 300 CDs is affordable to the rural folk with the 50 CD earphones?
Well, I wouldn't say it is. I don't want you see you're actually trying to trap me right now because everything is relative. Even the smartphones we are talking about are expensive. They are like high level devices for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's if you want to get a device, you might be really interested in looking at a tablet these days. And
I saw a device, and it was really strange. I have forgotten the brand, but it was like a hybrid of the YAM and the Smart, and it looked like one of those old Nokia phones, and they're quite cheap.
Yeah, they're called smart feature phones. So they have operators that you can run YouTube, WhatsApp, and everything on them. And I think that's what's actually one of the things that we need to come into our market now to help to bridge the gap, the transition between from the feature phones to the smartphones. Right. Actually, we are doing something in that direction.
That is floodgates.
Yeah. So
okay, let's hear you.
Oh, you want me to talk about it?
Yes,
we have a contract with a European manufacturer of phones, and then one of the great devices that they have is these smart feature phones. So we are looking to bring in a few thousands of to come and test the market and see how it's going to run. Especially, it's going to help to deliver things like WhatsApp and YouTube and smaller apps to people who can only afford feature phones. Should probably cost you just about 150 CDs or 100 CDs about to get one. And you can still access a lot of video content, a lot of content that is not just available on the smartphone, on the feature phones.
So it's my final question. As a nation, what is in it for us in terms of mobile phone penetration?
Job creation.
There are influencers today who are making money. They take their phone, record stuff, and we all watch and laugh, and they make money.
I've got a number of my colleagues who do that.
Yes.
I mean, from art,
and one made me really famous just by doing that.
Of course, I think it just works across all sectors, right? Because then the more people have those smartphones, the more apps and innovation things that you can see, really. See, so I think job creation would be an amazing thing.
And I think to jump on that as well, I think it's two sides, right? So there's job creation on the one side where it's like you're building these solutions, you're building software that will run on these smartphones, you're building USSD applications that run on feature phones. But on the other side, you're also now able to deploy solutions much more broadly. So now you're able to, give a tech solution to a farmer in Tamale. You're able to, deliver somebody food.
Yeah.
Maybe that lives a bit outside of town but still wants to eat. And so I think it's almost like a double-edged sword, but in a good way, where we're creating jobs on one side to create these solutions, but now we're also able to better deliver these solutions to everyday.
All right, one quick one. Let's squeeze in a final question. Right, we'll come to you. But go ahead.
So I was going to say just a very short statement that I did a lot of thinking, and about 4 weeks ago, I came to the conclusion that if you want to grow multiple sectors and probably the largest number of sectors at the same time by doing just one thing, make it easier for people to get smartphones and roll it out across the country.
All right, so you guys, that's my final question, and let's make it really quick. Your products of incubators and accelerators, and you actually run some of these programs in incubators and accelerators. Do you see the direction of these institutions or entities, as it were, going more towards creating stuff for mobile phones or for just your normal computer?
Well, yeah, it's definitely, like, as I mentioned, it's definitely mobile first, right? So you're going to see the bulk of these solutions are going to be delivered through smartphones, through feature phones.
Josiah?
Yeah, I do agree, and maybe more web apps as well. So just in case, because we've not totally eradicated laptops and stuff yet. So.
No, Oswald.
I agree with everyone else, and you can see that because every organization has a mobile strategy or is drawing up a mobile strategy. Everybody is thinking, this is what we are doing here. How do we also do it on mobile? It's a great sign and a great indicator, and I think that there is a multi-billion-dollar collective industrial growth available for people who are going to develop apps and develop content. Not just the apps, the content that runs on the apps. There's also like probably billions of benefits to come through there.
All right, wonderful. So it's been wonderful talking to you guys. So we have been talking to our famous panelists. We've been talking to Oswald Anunadaga of Floodgates. We've been talking to Felix Darko, tech expert and manager at MEST. We've been talking to Josiah Asen, CEO of iSpace Foundation. This program was brought to you by Ghana Exim Bank facilitating Ghana's international trade. And this is a goodbye from me, Prince Moses. We will see you again next Monday for Tech Monday. Tomorrow is something else. It's one-on-one with an entrepreneur on Business PM. Bye.